on Nozzleheads, we're talking about tar spot, and it seems like everybody is talking about tar spot this year. And so what we want to do is dive into tar spot and get some of that important information out for you guys. You know, what we know about tar spot is that it's very aggressive and that it can be a problem. It has the latent period that it has, that it cannot show up. We don't see anything and we think we're good, and then all of a sudden, boom, it hits us. And so we want to be prepared for that. We've got more moisture this year and more rainfall across the corn belt, and so we want to be in a position where we're ready to deal with this when it comes and hits us.
Yeah, and in reality, Brady, we've already got some early detection this year in some states here in 2024, which to me means that we need to be thinking proactively, right? Aggressive diseases like this are ones that can easily get out of hand. You mentioned that latent period. It's got a longer one, so the latent period is that time from when it can infect to the time that it shows up. This one having about a 14 or a little bit longer day latent period means that it can sneak up on us, right? We get that infection going on, it starts to build that inoculum, and it really is almost exponential. It starts off with a lesion here, and then really starts to ramp up on us to the point where it's really kind of hard to react to this one sometimes. So knowing how fungicides work, I really like to push a proactive approach when it comes to tar spot, because we're going to utilize that fungicide early as a blanket of protection, utilize the residual portion of that to protect basically the most important piece of the corn life cycle of that grain fill period. So as I mentioned earlier, we got some early detection in some states. Eastern Corn Belt area where I work, Missouri, Illinois, and on eastward, you know, we've had inoculant for several years now, right? It's overwinters here, and so it puts us in a situation where when we get conditions like this and early detection, I'm going to talk about scouting early. And maybe we may adjust some of the timings around our normal VT timing, but that can vary depending on how this continues to develop. As we're still somewhat early in the season, we're going to watch that develop. And in our areas where we've got inoculant, we're probably at high risk here in 2024. As I look to my west, where you're at, and you haven't seen as much, might have a little bit different story there.
Yeah, I think one of the things is for us, you know, we've been dry the last couple of years. We haven't seen this early season moisture, so what we're looking at is that where is this going to go and what's it going to develop into. But I think it's really important that we are aggressive in our scouting and that we understand what we have out there. You mentioned the latent period again, you know, in that time frame, we're going to have consistent scouting. We can't just go out and look once and be done type of thing like that. And so I think it's going to be a crucial piece that, you know, even though we've had late show up or maybe not even seen it at all in some areas, the way it's shaping up this year, the moisture, the current things we have, we're making some pieces of the disease triangle here, so we need to be aware of this.
Yeah, and as we continue to get rain, which I anticipate, you got to be optimistic, right? If we get rain through here and the conditions stay favorable, I think we'll see some development in areas maybe we haven't seen before, as well as in my own area that I work. The one thing I think we've got in favor for us here at BASF is Veltima is frankly the best product on tar spot that I've seen in our trials, and our data would support that too. Why I like Veltima in that space is it's broad spectrum, so we can keep that plant as blemish free as possible. We know that letting other diseases get in gives some openings for tar spot. So that really is an important piece of the Veltima puzzle, or the tar spot puzzle when it comes to Veltima, as well as the long-lasting residual control. That's why we're really what separates the men from the boys here in the Veltima world is that we float to the top for having some of the longest lasting residual when it comes to protecting on tar spot. So add the plant health benefits that you've heard from some of our other videos on, and really it makes the full trifecta of being a really good product to protect against this disease and allowing us to have the flexibility to get on at the right time.
I think that's important too, just the broad spectrum that you mentioned with Veltima and everything else. But what's also important is that you contact your local BASF rep to get information on timing and rates and those type of things like that too. So you have something that's very pertinent to your area. Be sure to check out our Nozzlehead channel for other relevant videos that we have concerning fungicide applications too as well.